So Texas A&M is a team that's provided so much in terms of entertainment, in terms of storylines, and in terms of chaos through the offseason and season for us, the college football fans. And this weekend, they had a big game against Ole Miss, a game where, in fairness, I don't think many people around college football gave them a legitimate chance to win this game with all of the chaos that surrounded that program. Fast forward to now, and A&M loses the game by 3 points. It was a nail-biter. It was a great game, but there is a silver lining that's presented itself from this game if you're an Aggies fan that today we need to talk about. But more importantly, we also need to get into why it's imperative that Jimbo Fisher fixes what's going on at Texas A&M right now and what the implications could be if he doesn't. Before we do, as always, y'all know the drill. I need to hear from you. Hop down to the comments. Give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Do you believe that if Jimbo Fisher doesn't fix what's going on at Texas A&M right now, that Texas A&M could become transfer portal U? Hop down to the comments, let me know what you're thinking. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, hit that bell notification. I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it, and if you enjoyed this content, be sure to like and comment down below. Those interactions may seem small, but they are massive for recommending the channel to new viewers, and it's awesome for growing the channel. Thank y'all so much for being here, but with all that being said, let's hop right into this. And look, I do want to start where there is some positivity, and if you're a Texas A&M fan, coming out of the game this weekend, there was an area where you can be excited about, and that's your young quarterback. And let's be very clear here, I'm not someone who tries to sit here and give people moral victories, but when the question has been asked for a few seasons now, what's the plan at quarterback long-term for Texas A&M whenever your true freshman five-star quarterback? Remember, when Quinn Ewers became available, Jimbo Fisher made a comment saying they like Connor Weigman as much, if not more, than any quarterback in the nation and that they'd found their guy, giving the ultimate vote of confidence to Weigman. Well, whenever he goes out there and Connor Weigman throws for over 330 yards as a true freshman, there's a lot to be excited about. And on top of that, Texas A&M has got legitimate talent in the wide receiver room. Evan Stewart, Muhammad. It's sad that A-Chain is going to be going pro sooner rather than later because that guy can do it all. I know he's a running back, but let's be very honest. I talk about A-Chain at length when I'm talking about Texas A&M, and for good reason. I think he's one of the best players in college football, and I think he shows it every time he steps on a football field, because if you can scheme to take away A-Chain, you're making their job so much more difficult. However, I digress. I do think there's a legitimate reason to be excited, even coming off of a loss, because one of the major questions we've asked about Jimbo Fisher, which is the quarterback position, there seems to be some semblance of an answer. And at least if you're a Texas A&M fan, you take that over the chaos you've seen at that position. Because we can just go back to last season and this season. Keep it real recent. Last season, it was a constant conversation about Haynes King or Calzada. This season, it was a constant conversation about Max Johnson or Haynes King. And now you might look like you've found your guy in Weigman. True freshman, a lot to grow, a lot to learn from, but you have got to like what you saw over one game. But it really points the needle as to why it's so important that Jimbo Fisher and the Texas A&M coaching staff fix whatever is going on in the building. And it seems like every week there's something new coming out that's going on in that locker room that is just an absolute distraction. So if you're Jimbo Fisher, it is paramount that you fix what's going on. And the reason is quite simple. You have got an incredibly talented team. And I know Jimbo Fisher did that interview that caused so many people to almost groan and roll their eyes when he talked about, well, one of the reasons you should come to Texas A&M is because since we're not winning, you might have an easier path to playing time. While typically that can be true, that programs that are struggling winning, that's indicative of a lack of talent or maybe a lack of development or maybe a new coaching staff coming in. If you're recruiting, you can sell recruits that, hey, come in here, be the guy that really helps turn this around, be the guy that really gives us a spark. The reason why it's hard for Jimbo Fisher and Texas A&M to claim that is Jimbo Fisher isn't a new coach at Texas A&M. He's been there for years. So at this point, trying to be like, hey, come help us rebuild, well, you've been in a rebuild for quite some time if that's what you're claiming. On top of that, Jimbo Fisher and Texas A&M rank as a top 5 team in college football talent. They have 10 5-stars. Now, one thing that we do need to be very fair whenever we talk about the talent Texas A&M has, of the 10 5-stars that are on their roster, 8 of them came from last year's class, meaning they're true freshmen. True freshmen need time to develop. I don't care if you're a 5-star, a 1-star, or a 10-star. you probably need some time to develop, and it's the very rare few that come in day one ready to go. And I don't think we should hold it against a coaching staff if a player isn't ready to go day one. However, it still doesn't take away from the argument that Jimbo, while you're not wrong, teams that do lose can sell to recruits, hey, come in here, it's an easier path to playing time. The other half of that argument is, oh yeah, but by the way, we're one of college football's most talented teams, so it's not like the competition is going to be any less than if you went to a program that is actively winning. And in some cases, a lot of the programs that are actively winning are less talented than Texas A&M, so theoretically, there's an easier path to playing time. I bring all of this to your attention because Texas A&M is a talented team, and it's very important that Jimbo Fisher and all of them fix it. And many of you have been waiting and wondering about why I asked the question in this video I asked about if Jimbo Fisher doesn't fix this, could Texas A&M become transfer portal U? And we need to understand this, because if we look at college football, there are these monikers that get put on teams that make it really fun for us, the fans. LSU was referred to as DBU for a while, a claim that Alabama also claimed, and you've seen some from Ohio State. But one thing that Texas A&M cannot have happen, they cannot become transfer portal U. Because if Jimbo Fisher does not fix the chaos that is currently plaguing this locker room, that's exactly where this situation could be heading. Because the existence of the transfer portal gives us one truth, that the transfer portal will give, but the transfer portal will also take. And whenever you have as much talent as Jimbo Fisher and them have, winning cures everything. And if you're not able to start winning, if you're not able to end the season on a high note, and if you're not able to quell some of the uneasiness that's currently in the locker room, well, there could be an exodus from Texas A&M. And this isn't a problem that's relegated to Texas A&M and Jimbo Fisher. Please make no mistake. I'm not saying that this is a one-off. It's just this program. I'm using Jimbo Fisher and Texas A&M because it's the most notable example that we can give. Texas A&M got a lot of talent last year. And if things aren't done well, they could lose a lot of talent in the transfer portal. Because Jimbo Fisher is halfway right when he says, hey, come to us, because if we're losing games, that means you might have a more linear path to playing time. However, the half of the story that he didn't tell you is we're one of the 10 most talented teams in college football. You'd probably be better served going to one of those teams that is winning, because you don't have the level of competition. So this is one of those things. Jimbo Fisher, every time something happens, he almost seems to place himself back in negative light. And even this weekend, after losing a game, Jimbo Fisher doesn't say anything, and Lane Kiffin is sure to rub his face in it, saying, I wonder if he's going to call Saban and I clowns now. What this shows you is that Jimbo Fisher has backed himself into a corner, and that multiple coaches really have it out for him, and they are taking all the joy in the world at what's going on at Texas A&M right now, because a lot of people feel like Jimbo Fisher and Texas A&M at some level brought it upon themselves. But I can't wait to hear from all of you. I think it's super important that Jimbo Fisher fixes this, because if not, Texas A&M could become known as transfer portal U, and that's not exactly what you want to have happen. Not when Alabama is referred to as NFLU, when LSU is referred to as DBU. The last thing you want to be known for is being an institution that recruits well, not able to get it done there, and all of your recruits hit that portal to go find success somewhere else. That's the last thing you want known about you, because if that happens, it's going to be very hard to fix that. Hop down to the comments, let me know what you're thinking. That's it. See ya.